I had to leave town on short notice for a few days, so I asked my husband to look after our son. The moment my plane landed, a message arrived: my boy had drowned. I rushed home, frantic, only to find his small body bloated from the water, utterly still. Grief exploded into fury. I screamed at Leo Miller, demanding how he had let this happen. He gave me a look of pure irritation. "Anna Scott, can you stop making a scene? I didn't want our son to die, but by the time I noticed it was already too late. I have to get back to the hospital, my father's there. Call me when the funeral's scheduled." No amount of begging slowed his stride. That same evening, a short video popped up on the company feed. His secretary, pregnant before marriage, was celebrating her baby's 100-day banquet. In the last frame, Leo, dressed in matching family outfits, placed the child into the arms of the very father who was supposedly hospitalized. "Wishing Milo's grandpa a speedy recovery," the caption read. For beaming faces, too bright to bear. I left a single comment: "May your whole family die soon and be reborn quickly." The clip vanished moments later. Leo called, livid. "Anna, my father is still in the ICU. How dare you curse him to die? Have you lost your humanity?" My eyes were blood red. A broken laugh tore out of me. "That wasn't a curse, Leo. It's a prophecy your future. You killed my son. Why should any of you live?" I kept vigil beside my boy's coffin, eyes swollen shut, tears falling without sound. The funeral hall was hollow, only I remained. Soon the doors slammed open. Leo stormed in, face like iron, Chloe Jean trailing behind him with her 100-day-old son cradled in her arms, tears shimmering prettily at the corners of her eyes. "Anna, I told you our son's death was an accident. When will you stop?" Leo seized my arm and yanked me up so hard the bones ached. I lifted my head, hatred burning in every glance. They hadn't even changed out of the matching outfits from the video. Standing before them, I felt like the only stranger in the world. "Do you know your message almost put my father in the ICU again? Call him right now and apologize." He shoved his phone at me. Before, no matter whose fault it was, I would have apologized to my father-in-law the instant he grew angry. Not this time. I took the phone with icy fingers and dialed a string of numbers. Leo's eyes flashed satisfaction, his voice softened a notch. "I know you're hurting. After the funeral, take a trip, clear your head. I'll hold things together at the office." The call connected. "Mr. Me." "It's me," I cut in, voice flat. "Miss Scott, rest assured our 2 senior cardiologists are personally supervising Mr. Miller's care. He's stable. Cancel every VIP privilege. From now on, the Miller family is no concern of mine." My throat rasped like sandpaper. The voice on the other end stammered. "I beg your pardon? Do I need to repeat myself?" I snapped. No, we'll notify the staff immediately." Leo's pupil shrank. "Anna, have you lost your mind?" His hand flew. The slap knocked me to the floor. I lay there, cheek burning, eyes still locked on him, filled with nothing but bottomless, unending hate. "Anna, my father has always treated you better than his own daughter. How could you have the heart to cut off his VIP privileges?" Leo snarled, jabbing a furious finger at me. "What kind of vicious daughter-in-law does something like that?" A bitter laugh slipped from my throat. "Vicious? Am I more vicious than your entire family of 4? My son's bones are still warm, lying in that tiny coffin, yet his grandfather, Sam's own grandfather, couldn't even bother to show his face. I made excuses for his poor health, only to watch the old man drag that same sick body to Chloe's son's 100-day banquet. I can still see the broad grin he wore in the final seconds of that video. Tell me, how does a man smile like that when his grandson is dead? And he claims he treats me like his own daughter? Huh. Since when does a father treat his daughter like this?" "Anna, I don't know what nonsense you're spouting," Leo snapped, his face dark. "Call the hospital right now and tell them it was a joke, or we're getting divorced today." Chloe stepped forward on cue. "Anna, no matter how angry you are, Mr. Miller is innocent. Whatever grievance you have, you shouldn't throw him out of the ward. Their perfect harmony made my heart clench. I tightened my grip on my phone and dialed again. Leo curled his lip. Anna, what was the point of that call? You're only making things worse for yourself. The line connected. Lawyer Davis, draw up the divorce papers. Leo froze, disbelief crystallizing in his pupils. Anna, are you joking? You actually want a divorce? Whenever he played the divorce card, I always folded. Today, for the first time, his trump card turned worthless. Chloe blinked, a flicker of delight darting across her eyes before she manufactured a delicate sob. Anna, is it because of that video? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have taken Milo to see Grandpa while you were grieving. It's all my fault. Please don't fight. I watched her performance with open contempt, but I had no energy left to argue, certainly not in my son's morning hall. I motioned to the bodyguards at the door. They stepped forward and escorted the two of them out. Anna, I'm telling you our son's death was an accident. Leo snarled from the threshold, struggling against the guards. Hate me if you must, but don't take it out on other people. I was even thinking we could try for another son once you've recovered. Now I'll have to reconsider. I let out a cold laugh. Another child so you and your girlfriend can kill this one, too? I glanced at the baby in Chloe's arms. Besides, you already have a son, don't you? When the infant was born, his features hadn't yet settled. I depitted Chloe for meeting a deadbeat and even recommended my own postnatal center. Now the boy's brow and eyes carry unmistakable echoes of Leo. No paternity test is needed. Anyone with eyes can see whose blood runs in those veins. Anna, you've misunderstood, Chloe protested, her pretty face draining of color. Milo has nothing to do with Mr. Miller. He only agreed to be Milo's godfather because he felt sorry for me raising the child alone. My fists clenched so tightly the knuckles went white. The rage I decaged for weeks finally broke its bars. It doesn't matter whose son that child is, I hissed, voice cracking. But if I find out someone deliberately murdered my boy, my words rose to a scream. I will make them pay in blood, even if it costs me everything I have. Leo and Chloe exchanged a quick, instinctive glance. Their faces went pale in unison. The moment my bodyguards shoved them out the door, Leo snapped back to reality, wedging himself against the frame and shrieking like a madman. Anna, if you keep throwing this tantrum, I swear I'll divorce you. I slammed the door. Bang! With that single sound, the world finally fell silent. Sam, I'm sorry, I whispered, collapsing over his small coffin. Mommy failed to see that scumbag for what he is, and it cost you your life. I sobbed until the tears felt like acid, until my throat was raw. When I was almost emptied out, my assistant called. Miss Scott, I pulled the surveillance from the day of the accident. Mr. Miller and Ms. Zhang were in the same car, and they were very close. The footage is incomplete, but a bystander caught part of it on a phone. We're tracking that person down. My nails dug so hard into my palms I felt skin break. Whatever they want, whatever it costs, get me the truth. The image of Sam, barely 3, trusting, smiling, thinking he was going on an outing with the people he loved only to be driven to his death burned like acid in my lungs. I couldn't breathe. Miss Scott, my assistant continued, I've engaged a third-party firm to audit the company. But there's something else. Just now Mr. Miller moved several million from the corporate account, claiming it's for Mr. Miller Sr.'s medical bills under the pretext of employee welfare. My eyes narrowed. Every share of this company is in my name. Without my signature, how could Leo simply siphon money? Have they all forgotten who founded this company, who actually owns it? Because I once bent over backward to spare Leo the stigma of being a kept husband? I dialed the CFO and ordered him to reverse the transfer. He answered in a languid drawl. Miss Scott, Mr. Miller needs this money to save his father's life. Human life comes first. You can't let personal anger cloud your judgment. Using my company's funds for his personal charity, when did you grow such a conscience? I said, ice in every syllable. You're fired. A new CFO will replace you within the hour, and a forensic team will comb through every cent you've managed. Let us see how many good deeds you've done with my money. Miss Scott, you misunderstand. I hung up. Next call, the bank. I froze every card in Leo's name and clawed back the transfer. When it was done, I rested my forehead against Sam's tiny coffin, voice barely a rasp. Mommy couldn't protect you, baby. But I swear, every person who hurt you will pay. Less than 10 minutes later, Leo called. The moment I picked up, his furious roar exploded through the receiver. Anna, why are all my cards suspended? My father's been kicked out of the hospital. He could be in danger at any second out there. I don't care about anything else. Get my father back into that hospital right now. We'll talk about the rest later. His tone was laced with violent impatience, but beneath it I could hear a thin thread of panic. Only then did it seem to dawn on him that I was truly angry. Yet years of arrogance kept him from lowering his head even now. I answered in a voice flat as glass. Leo, have you still not grasped one simple fact? We are finished. I never agreed to a divorce. You have no right to do this. He snapped, startled. Anna, our child is dead. I admit I failed to protect him. Hate me, hit me, scream at me, I'll take it. But what does any of this have to do with my father? Can you please stop being so irrational? I swallowed the fire in my throat and asked hoarsely. The night Sam died, when you said you were going to the hospital to look after your father, were you really? Or were you actually at Chloe's son's 100-day banquet? And on the day of the accident, was Chloe in your car? He hesitated for half a second, then answered with absolute certainty. Of course I went to the hospital. I didn't see Chloe at all the day Sam died. Have you gone crazy from grief? The instant the words left his mouth, Chloe's voice floated in from the background. Leo, Milo just spit up, come help me. Silence. 10 full seconds of silence, then the line went dead. My face didn't change. Whether Leo was now nursing his father or doting on his newborn son, it was no longer my concern. The only thing that mattered was uncovering what part he and that woman had played in Sam's death. I sat quietly in front of my son's casket, feeding stack after stack of joss paper into the brazier. In the rising flames, I thought I saw Sam smiling back at me. The next day, the shrill ring of a phone jolted me awake where I had slumped across the coffin. Every muscle ached as I straightened and answered. The independent firm I'd hired reported they had officially begun auditing the company. Detailed figures weren't ready yet, but I should brace myself. The internal situation was tangled, and the cash flow looked highly irregular. I had barely hung up when my assistant rang again. He had located the passers-by. Someone had recorded video on their phone. He would soon piece together exactly what had happened. For the first time in days, I could breathe. I knelt, fingers brushing the cold wood of Sam's casket, and let the tears fall. My darling, I whispered, Mama's going to get justice for you. Then, sudden commotion at the gate. A thunder of fists on the door, angry shouts swelling outside. I opened it, still dazed, and before I could understand what was happening, Leo's red-rimmed eyes blazed at me. His palm cracked across my face. Anna, you bitch. Because of you, my father died yesterday without emergency care. You'll pay for this with blood. He lunged, fists and feet raining down. By the time I managed to lift my head, the doorway was crammed with relatives from Leo's hometown. They had carried a coffin of their own and propped it across my threshold, fingers stabbing at me, curses pouring like bile. Anna, you brought death to your own son, and now you've killed your father-in-law. You're nothing but a walking curse. If you hadn't thrown Mr. Miller Sr. out of the hospital, none of this would have happened. There's no daughter-in-law under heaven as unfilial as you, murderer. They forced their way into my home without a word. While they screamed abuse at me, Chloe hid a short distance away, phone in hand, quietly starting a live stream. On the broadcast, her face was flushed with righteous anger. Mr. Miller's wife, this pampered heiress, knows nothing but loves ordering us low-level employees around. Yet every time she screws something up, she pins it on us. This time she went on vacation, her son drowned, and she blamed Mr. Miller for it. Then she kicked Mr. Miller's father out of the hospital. That triggered the old man's second heart attack, and he died before doctors could save him. Chloe's voice cracked. I hear she's about to force Mr. Miller out of the company and leave him with nothing. Poor Mr. Miller, he just lost his son and now his father. If Mr. Miller hadn't held this broken company together all these years, it would have collapsed 100 times over. Many of us have already decided, if Mr. Miller goes, we quit. We refuse to be slaves to this madwoman. Netizens who didn't know the truth swallowed Chloe's upside-down tail and turned on me. Someone posted my personal details online. They crashed my company's website and swarmed the Scott Group's page, cursing my parents. Leo's relatives stormed in, furious, carrying my son's small coffin. You lunatic! You killed your child and your father-in-law. You have no right to be Sam's mother. We're taking Sam back to our hometown to bury him beside his grandfather. They hoisted the coffin and started out. My bodyguards tried to stop them, but the crowd was too large. They were shoved back, kept outside the ring of shouting relatives. Give me back my son! I screamed until my throat bled. Leo, he is your son too. Will you let them desecrate his body? Shut your mouth. Leo drove his foot into my ribs. You've already forfeited the right to be Sam's mother. Anna, I'm not only divorcing you, I'm leaving you with nothing. My heart convulsed. Only now did I see Leo's real plan. The men carrying the coffin sneered at me. Deliberately, they tilted the casket and let it crash to the ground. My son's ashes burst from the urn and scattered across the pavement. Tears flooded my eyes. With a tearing cry, I lunged forward, trying to gather him up. But Leo seized me, slammed me down, and snarled. When Sam was alive, you ignored him. Now that he is dead, who do you think you're performing for? At that critical moment, my assistant arrived with a group of people. I exhaled in relief until my assistant stepped up, pointed at me in disgust, and said, Miss Scott, are you really going to destroy your entire family just for a few more shares in the company? What are you talking about? I lifted my head in disbelief. My assistant drew a long breath and slapped a thick stack of documents onto my desk. Miss Scott, she said icily, we didn't find any evidence of Leo's misconduct, but we did uncover quite a few violations yours. These are all the documents you personally signed. I didn't bother to look at the papers. Instead, I raised my eyes to Leo. You even bought off my assistant? I have no idea what you're talking about. Assistant White simply chose to stand on the side of justice. A flicker of triumph flashed in Leo's pupils, yet his face was a mask of heartbreak. Anna, you're not the woman I once knew. Ever since the company grew, you've changed so much that you feel like a stranger. I don't think you're fit to be CEO anymore. I closed my eyes, inhaled slowly, and spoke in a hoarse whisper. Leo, I really underestimated you. At that moment, Chloe began a live broadcast of the documents on screen, evidence that I had misappropriated company funds and docked employees' performance pay without authorization. The internet exploded. Those who had been skeptical moments earlier now cursed me and drove skinflints everywhere paled next to me. Scores of our own employees took to social media to denounce me. Almost overnight, I became a pariah. Anna, out of respect for what we once had, I was willing to leave you a sliver of dignity, Leo sneered. But you just had to keep pushing, so don't blame me for being ruthless. Your company is already an empty shell. You were so reluctant to transfer your shares to me? Then keep them and enjoy the bankruptcy proceedings. A wave of bitterness rose in my chest. I never imagined we'd end up here. To be with him, I once stormed my ancestral home, scandalizing my parents so deeply that they still refuse to forgive me, a fact the entire social circle knows by heart. After our marriage, Leo refused to be labeled a kept man, so I poured every penny I had into founding the company we have today. When our son Sam was born, I felt every sacrifice had been worth it. Only now do I realize it was all a lie from start to finish. Leo, whatever I owed you, I've repaid in full. Now it's your turn to pay. My eyes were red as I spoke. What do you mean? A sudden dread seized him. The instant the words left his lips, his phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, he answered instinctively. The CFO's panicked voice burst through the speaker. Mr. Miller, something terrible. A team from the authorities just barged into finance and seized all our records. No matter how well we hid the fund transfers, these professionals are finding everything. We're finished, both of us. Leo's eyes bulged, the color drained from his face until it was ghost white. His whole body trembled. The moment he hung up, he grabbed my collar, voice rasping. Anna, you not only turned your assistant, you secretly hired another team to investigate me? I shot a contemptuous glance at the now petrified assistant. If I hadn't dangled the bait, how could I have lured all of you into the net? I laughed coldly. Miss Scott, I was wrong. My assistant dropped to her knees, trembling, pleading desperately. It was Leo who tricked me. He used my boyfriend, lured me into gambling, and got me deep in debt to loan sharks. They said if I couldn't pay, they'd sell me to the compound. I had no choice, I had to betray you. Please, give me one more chance. I looked at her, my face betraying nothing. At that same moment, every one of Leo's relatives in the room received a call from the company. Their expressions turned spectacular. On what grounds are you firing me? I'll file a complaint. I never took a bribe, this is slander. What contract? No, that deal has nothing to do with me. I was wrong, please don't call the police, I'll return every cent. After the company grew, Leo had stuffed every cousin, aunt, and uncle he could find onto the payroll. I had objected. But he said, when my family was dirt poor, these people helped me get out of the mountains. Now that I finally have something, if I don't repay them, what kind of man would I be? Back then I loved Leo so blindly I let it slide. Those relatives became the rot eating the company from the inside. Leo's eyes went blood red, he lunged at me like a madman. Anna, you bitch. If you won't let me live, neither will you. My bodyguards closed in, pinning him in a tight circle. His relatives started forward. I swept them with an icy glare. Lay one finger on me and I'll make sure you die in prison. They froze. Anna, I'm sorry, Leo whimpered. For the sake of our marriage, I'll walk away with nothing, just spare me this once. At last he was truly afraid. Chloe, who had been live streaming, quietly killed the feed. The netizens who'd been cursing me moments ago were dumbstruck. They hadn't expected the plot to flip so violently. With the stream gone, they scattered across the internet hunting for scraps of truth. Details of Leo and Chloe's collusion that even my investigators had missed surfaced everywhere. Spare you? I hadn't seen the online storm yet, but looking at Leo on his knees, all I felt was contempt. How dare he ask, after everything? My phone buzzed. A video. When I saw it, tears of blood slid from my eyes. Leo, if I spare you, who will spare our son? It was just an accident, he blurted. I slapped him so hard his head snapped sideways, screaming. He was 3. You left him alone by the river while you fooled around in the car with that whore and you call it an accident? I shut the phone at him. A passerby had filmed the moment our boy drowned. Shouts ring out, Leo and Chloe tumble from the back seat half naked. Leo's face went rigid. I called the police on the spot. They arrived within minutes and arrested him for intentional homicide. No, I'm innocent. I never meant to harm our son. His protests died as I pressed play on an audio file. Chloe's voice, tearful. Honey, I don't need a title, I just want to stay with you. But our son can't be illegitimate forever. Leo, tender. Relax, I've got it figured out. Once her son has an accident, we'll adopt ours. The whole company will belong to him one day. Oh, honey, you're wonderful. The recording ended. I was only stringing her along, Leo babbled, terrified. I never planned to hurt our boy. You're the only one I've ever loved, Anna, I swear. I believed nothing that came out of his mouth ever again. The internal investigation at the company came to a swift close. Leo had simply been too blatant. As husband and wife, we should have stood shoulder to shoulder. I had trusted him absolutely. After all, this entire company had been founded because of him. Yet the moment it began to prosper, Leo began scheming, determined to turn it into his private fiefdom. Every employee who colluded with him was handed over to the authorities. Each received the punishment they deserved. Almost the entire network of Leo's relatives was swept away. Apart from a tiny handful, not one of them was clean. Those few, too ashamed to remain, tendered their resignations. On the day of the trial, Leo's father, frail and ill, dragged himself to the courthouse to plead for his son. Only then did I discover that even the old man's death had been a fraud. When Leo realized I would not stop digging, he and Chloe staged the whole tragedy, counting on online outrage to smear me and seize the company. They had every advantage: employees willing to testify, the death of Leo's father as emotional leverage, and my own assistant's sudden betrayal. I should have been finished. But while I openly asked my assistant to investigate, I had secretly engaged a third-party, long-time partners of my parents. When they learned Sam had been murdered, my mother wept until she could not breathe. My father's face never changed, yet his whole body trembled. Only then did I realize that, though we had not spoken for 3 years, my parents had met Sam many times in secret. Once the truth came out, netizens erupted, demanding the heaviest sentences for the scumbag and his mistress. In court, Leo looked utterly broken when our eyes met, his held no light left. Confronted with irrefutable evidence, every excuse he offered crumbled. When the judge pronounced Leo guilty of intentional homicide and sentenced him to life without parole, and Chloe to 10 years for incitement to murder, I clutched my son's urn and finally let the tears fall. Darling, those who hurt you have paid the price. You can rest now. A soft breeze drifted through the courtroom, as gentle as my little boy's hand brushing my cheek. I could not hold back. I broke down in wrenching sobs. As the guards moved to take him away, Leo lifted his head and rasped, "Anna, all of this is your fault. If you spoiled little rich girl Henty clung to me like a dog for 3 whole years, I would never have married you. We were never from the same world. With you I never felt safe. I kept thinking one day you'd toss me aside and I'd be nothing again, just the poor kid who crawled out of the mountains. Why couldn't you leave me alone?" Then he collapsed, weeping uncontrollably. I mastered my tears, silent for a few seconds. "Do you remember the University Student Council election?" I said, each word measured. Back then, everyone wondered why I pursued Leo so relentlessly. The truth was simple. During his campaign speech, he told a story how he had once fought off 2 muggers to rescue a little girl. That's why. Leo stared, stunned. I borrowed that story from a friend just to win votes. What? My pupils shrank. In an instant, the weight I had carried for years evaporated. I burst into fresh tears. I still remember, with perfect clarity, the moment in my childhood despair when a small boy burst in and pulled me out of the abyss. Because of that memory, I withdrew from the election on the spot, Leo's fiercest rival becoming his most ardent pursuer. I never imagined it had all begun with a lie.